Greetings, fellow Mtwarazians who are scattered all over the world, not according to their will, but according to the political condition, the political atmosphere that is currently prevailing in our land. Let me put it clearly that this current status quo or this current political environment, we did not ask it. We did not ask for that political environment, but we found ourselves engulfed by this political environment which is unfavorable at all, which is unfavorable to all sons and daughters of Mtwaras. This political status quo, let me categorically make it clear that it is not in our interest. It is not in the interest of the people of Mtwaras. This status quo did not come peacefully. This status quo came violently, and it is still instilled to us violently. So today, fellow Mtwarazians, I am discussing or making a presentation on land invasions in Zimbabwe. A lot of people, I don't know how scholars, as they claim to be wise, as they do, decided to give the land invasions that were carried out by ZANU-PF such credit and such good PR. And they came up with a nice word to romanticize a very, very bad situation that occurred in the land of Mtwaras. And they decided to put the land invasions under the category of land reform. There was nothing that was reformed in Zimbabwe. What we witnessed were land invasions. Those who know what land reform is, they will concur with me that what we had in Zimbabwe during the late 90s and the early 2000s were what we call land invasions. Land was not taken properly. That is why even up to today, our people still faces the challenges of land, still face the challenges revolving around land. There is a lot that the precedent of land invasion instilled in our land, and it has to be fought. We don't need this kind of environment that we are subjected to. We need a better environment. We need a better policy regarding our land in Mtwaras so that our people can live confidently, so that our people can live secure lives, because no one is secure after the advent of land invasions in Zimbabwe. It is a very, very critical dispensation that our country, that our people are going through. Because frankly speaking, fellow Mtwarazians, we have not yet redistributed land. We need to redistribute land. We need to redistribute land. Let me emphasize that point, because land was not redistributed. Land was invaded and allocated based on the one's political proximity. A lot of our people still don't have shelter. A lot of our people still don't have land. A lot, even our rural communities, they are not safe where they live under this current establishment, because they don't know what tomorrow holds for them. We have witnessed, especially the Mnangagwa regime, taking the land where people have been settled there for more than 20 years, taking it and leaving our people destitute, leaving our people without land, leaving our people without shelter, taking away the rights of people. And the way they take that land, they are still invading the land. So they put you politically, and then after some time, when they realize that it no longer favors them, they will come back again to where they put you and take that particular land. So with this foundation, it is apparent, it is very clear that land was not distributed. Land was not reformed. We are still living under the colonial legacy. In fact, the colonial legacy of the white man was better than this one, because this one is unregulated. This one, if someone wakes up in the morning, decided to do whatever he wants with land, he just wakes up in the morning and do whatever he wants with our land. So our people are not safe. So today I am discussing the land invasions. It is a very bad legacy. It is a legacy that we must seek to reverse and pave a better future for me and a better future for all the people of Mtwaras. We need to be settled properly in Mtwaras. We need to be secure in Mtwaras. At the moment, we are not secure. We have seen people losing land in Matopo. We have seen people losing land in Binga. We have seen people losing land in Matabeleland South and North. All over, this government is doing whatever it pleases them pertaining to land, because in the first instance, we allowed them to unconstitutionally usurp the land. You can't run a country like a spaza shop. You can't run a country like that. When we are talking about land reform, we are talking about serious issues, not land invasion. Yes, they claim that the land was not taken properly to us Africans, but you should never find yourself correcting a wrong legacy with another wrong precedent. So this is the current status quo that our people find themselves in. Land is very expensive in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe claims to have reformed land, but land is very expensive. Land is not easily accessible. Today, to buy a stand in urban areas that are not attractive at all, you need to spend not less than $5,000. And that is abnormal, especially in an economy whereby more than 95% of our people are unemployed. That $5,000, it is the money they will never get, maybe in a period of 3 years. So where does the government expect our people to get such kinds of amounts to have access to land? So they claim they have redistributed the land, but the land is not accessible. A lot of our people don't have shelter. A lot of our people are renting. A lot of our people don't even have food to eat tomorrow. In fact, let me say this. Before this land invasion, we were living a much better life than what we are currently experiencing under this brutal coup regime. So today, comrades and friends, I want to clearly state that the land invasions of farms was done unconstitutionally. If you want to reform land, like we want to reform land as Mtwaras Democratic Alliance, we are not shying away from that. And when we are reforming our land, we will ensure equitable distribution of land. We will make it a point that land is given freely to our people. How can you sell a God-given resource? A lot of our people are homeless, but this government wants to milk money from people so that they can get land. And if you get that land, you are not guaranteed that you are going to be the sole owner of that land for the next coming years. They may decide other ways and come up with another strategy to invade that land, because in Zimbabwe, land was not redistributed. In fact, what happened were farm invasions, whereby individuals invaded the farms, not guided by any government policy, not guided by any land tenure, and entered into people's properties with title deeds and took away that land. Yes, we understand there were imbalances in terms of land. A lot of our people did not have land, but the economic climate was not as it is today. So they claim to have reformed the land, but we are the most poorest people after that land redistribution. And what do? They blame sanctions. You see, if they fail each and every 5 years, they fail. They come back to the communities and say, we could have done better, but due to economic sanctions, okay, you chased away the white men and you say, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe. Why are you failing now to keep that Zimbabwe and deliver to your people as you promised them when you were doing illegal things, when you were invading people's properties? It can't be like that, fellow Mtwakazins. Mtwakazi Democratic Alliance is not opposed to land reform. Let me put it clearly and categorically. But we are opposed to land invasion. We are opposed to land reform not guided by a land tenure that comes as a result of serious engagement with the local communities who happens to be the indigenous owners of our land, and with all the local establishments, so that we can come up with an inclusive policy. What we have now in Zimbabwe, we have a government that does as it pleases. It never consults people in everything they do. People voted for their constitution in 2013. What we have seen them doing, they are reversing what people proposed. They have taken away the law that prohibited the president from appointing the members of the judiciary system. They are busy taking away our rights through the patriotic bill. They are busy taking away our rights through the MOPO bill. They are busy taking our rights through so many bills and reversing how people proposed to be led. So, fellow Mtwakazins, we face a serious crisis as the people of Mtwakazi, and the number one crisis is land. Our people don't have land. Land is owned by a few people with the proximity to ZANU-PF. Even those of our people who are owning their land, they are not safe and secure in their land. There are no property rights. ZANU-PF can decide to wake up in the morning and take that land. The land invasion was influenced by racial and tribal hatred. We can't support such a program. We can't support a program which was influenced by hatred, which was influenced by racism. You see the land reform, this so-called fast-track land reform, they claim it is so-called. That's why I say it is so-called, because I don't believe it was a land reform, was done for wrong reasons. That is why it is backfiring battle to our people. That is why it is backfiring to our communities. All we need as Mtwakazi people, we need land reform that is people-centered. We need land reform that is pro-Mtwakazi. We need land reform that will remove the ownership of the land from the few and ensure that each and every fellow Mtwakazi citizen has land, owns a piece of land, owns a resource which is God-given, and that is land. We can't do anything without land. We can't be productive without land. We can't live without land. Living without land simply relegates us to individuals without citizenship. So it simply relegates us to refugees. The invasion of land was internationally misinterpreted. That's why you hear a lot of propaganda around the land. I was so disappointed. I respect Malema, but regarding land, he disappointed me several times, and he keeps on disappointing me because he talks about the land based on what ZANU-PF tells him, not based on facts. I remember recently he said Robert Mugabe delayed land reform because he wanted South Africa to be free. That is a historical propaganda, a serious propaganda coming from a politician. And they must desist from saying sentiments or saying something or issuing a political statements that are baseless. That was very, very reckless. We've seen another politician saying people in Matabeleland were fighting against each other. You see, politicians, especially politically delinquent individuals, I would not even call them politicians. They should desist from pronouncing the situations from other countries which they are not well versed with. So in Zimbabwe, we did not have land reform. In Zimbabwe, we had tribal and racially influenced land invasions. And the land was taken from few using color, few white people, and it was given from few ZANU-PF cronies. And a large number of people who own land in Zimbabwe, they own land even in Matabeleland. More than 90% of the people who own land, they are not from Matabeleland. They are from Mashonaland. This is what the land invasion that was carried by ZANU-PF was looking forward to do. It was looking forward to perpetuate. It was looking forward to spread the Shona hegemony. It was never in the interest of the Mtwagazi people. So what were the effects of land invasion in Zimbabwe? We saw violence and no justice towards the victims. A lot of white people who had title deeds were invaded, they were killed, some of them they were highly injured, some of them ended up running away from the country. And as the international community saw the ZANU-PF invading the land, not governed by any policy, remember that they attempted to expropriate land without compensation. And they came up with a constitution around 2000, early 2000. And the people voted no for that constitution in that referendum. And what did ZANU-PF do? They had to implement that program through a backdoor strategy. I will not even call that a policy or a strategy. Through a backdoor mentality, they sent their people to invade land, to injure a lot of people. A lot of people lost their lives. A lot of white people lost their properties because the land was invaded recklessly. The land was usurped recklessly. We cannot support that as Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance. We can't support a racially and tribally influenced land reform. No. That wasn't land reform. Wherever have you seen in the world whereby people start by usurping the land and then from there they regularize? That is nonsensical. Putting the lives of so many people at risk. In those farms, a lot of people were employed there and they were earning a living through those farms. And they just woke up one day without forms of income, without any income. And that land was given to the few ZANU-PF cronies. And if you decide to speak against ZANU-PF with that particular land, they are able again to issue that same land to another person. We have seen a lot of our people losing land. Fellow Mtwagazians, we don't have property rights. We are not safe in Zimbabwe pertaining to the issues of land. We still need land. Land is very expensive. It is very expensive to buy a house in Zimbabwe. It is very expensive to own a land in a country with a dilapidating economy. And the government is doing nothing to address this basic human right. This is a basic human right. Land, having shelter, is a basic human right that the government must prioritize. But how many years have our people been renting, paying exorbitant prices without employment? So this is very wrong. This has to be reversed by all means possible. We saw the land taking away legitimacy and introducing and introduced the society to selective justice. You see, these days, if land has been usurped from you and you are not connected to ZANU-PF and you don't have proximity to ZANU-PF, no one will defend you. No courts will defend you. Even if you bought that land, even if you have title deeds regarding it, remember, they created their own policy which only give you leases, and they can take away that land at any time. And they say each and every land in Zimbabwe belongs to ZANU-PF. We can't have such an environment, especially when we are led by a reckless and a very, very careless government, especially when we have a very corrupt establishment, which is not people-centered, but individual-centered, but only partisan-centered. We can't support that. So what has this land invasion done? It has weakened the country's agricultural system. We used to be the bread basket of Africa. But what are we now? Now we are destitute people. We are living all over. We are all over the world. We are in South Africa begging for permits. We are in Namibia. We are in United States. We are in England seeking refuge because at home, the economy has collapsed. If you are collapsing the agriculture, you are also collapsing productivity in industries. So if you are collapsing agriculture, you are indirectly reducing the taxes of the country. You are affecting even the civil servants. You are affecting even the police who are abusing people. You are affecting even the nurses. You are also indirectly affecting all structures of the society. So by collapsing agriculture, they collapsed the industries. How many jobs were lost by people? And eventually there was inflation because there is no productivity. We are no longer producing. We gave people land because they were carrying ZANU-PF cards, and those people are clueless regarding agriculture. They don't have knowledge about agriculture. They gave them because they are ZANU-PF. They gave them because they are able to do the slogan. They gave them because they are praising them. They didn't give them with consideration that these people are supposed to produce, and not only produce themselves, but produce for the nation as the white farmers were doing, but employ people, create employment out of that particular agriculture. When the fellow ZANU-PF cronies entered the land, what did they do? They banned all the farms, and also affecting the ecosystem, as well as contributing to the current global climatic challenges. So there is a lot that happened as a result of the recklessness of the ZANU-PF regime. So land invasion, I don't call it land reform. It wasn't land reform. The land was invaded. It was taken from the few and given to the few with the proximity of ZANU-PF. And those few who were given the land, they are not secure. They don't have property rights. Anytime ZANU-PF as the factional Barclays continues, that land can be taken away because it was taken unconstitutional. It was a process that was illegally done. So we created a legacy of unconstitutionalism. We created a legacy of going against our own constitution. The state institutions that are supposed to protect the people began to collapse. Instead of the police arresting criminals who were invading the land, they decided to join ZANU-PF and remain docile, whilst the criminals were doing as they please in people's land. Yes, we understand that this is the way they took the land, but we were not supposed to reform the land like that. That was not land reform. You can't override a cruel legacy by another terrific legacy. You need to create a good legacy and replace the bad legacy. But that did not happen. So what happened in Zimbabwe regarding land, it was overemphasized. It was overpraised. People thought Zimbabwe did something very huge, something amazing, but there is nothing amazing that was done regarding the land reform, and not the so-called fast-track land reform in Zimbabwe. So that weakened our agricultural system, that weakened our productivity, and ultimately affected the inflation. And we saw inflation skyrocketing. Instead of responding with the concrete economic policy measures, what did we see the government doing? It responded with disastrous economic measures. We saw them printing money each and every day, introducing it to the market and losing the value within seconds. And the inflation skyrocketed. If you were carrying trillions, you were good as carrying a useless tissue that cannot even be used in a toilet. So what did land invasions do in Zimbabwe? They destroyed industrial productivity. I have spoken about that. They reduced employment sharply. There were a lot of people who were employed by white farmers, were employed by productive white farmers. And when land was recklessly taken to them without any reasonable transition, we saw people losing jobs. We saw food insecurity knocking on our doors. We saw hunger knocking on our doors. We saw droughts knocking on our doors. They tried to respond with the mechanization program, but the mechanization program did not yield any results because it was implemented in an environment full of very corrupt people. When they were freely given those farming equipments, what did they do? They quickly sold out those equipments to the farmers outside the country. Some of those farming equipments, they were seen crossing the borders of the country, being sold outside the country. That was normal, by the way, because you can't give a farm to a clueless individual. You can't give an equipment to a clueless individual when it comes to agriculture and expect that person to produce massively. Remember, farming, agriculture is a skill. You need to have a skill. Yes, there are some with God-given skills, but in this modern day and technology, in this day of the fourth industrial revolution, you need to have a skill to ensure that you produce massively, to ensure that you reduce the issues of unemployment. So I have talked about the destruction of agriculture. It promoted food insecurity. I've just emphasized on that point. It took away the right to shelter and to own property. These days, even if you own property, let me tell you one thing, don't be comfortable. You never know. If ZANU-PF looks at that property, if ZANU-PF look at that land which you are having, the 99-year lease, they may decide to take it away. Remember, everything now is owned by them. Even those tribal lands which you used to have, the powers of the chiefs have been taken away. They can decide to take the land even of a chief. That is how they have empowered themselves with the current legislation regarding the land, especially the Community Land Whatever Act. That is a very, very disastrous act. If they take a loan from China, They can attach any land from the country. And if they fail, as they usually do, fail to pay that loan, they will what? Give that China the land. That's why we've seen so many communities being removed in their land, where they were born, where their ancestors were born, where there are graves of their ancestors. We've seen such people leaving their dear land because we are led by people who do not respect other human beings. That is what, as Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance, we are fighting against. And so this deteriorated the economy and social conditions. You see, if you don't have land, it means you don't have employment, you can't pay for your fees for children. Where's what this government did after performing badly economically? They are now demanding money from citizens through corrupt means. How do you expect citizens to give you money that they don't have? How do you expect citizens to give you money that is hard-earned? That is why in each and every policy they are introducing, there is exorbitant fees included. And we don't see where this money is going. This money is just used by the few. You saw recently your president specifically making his own brand of iPhone made up of gold. Where did he take that money from? That money was taken from the citizens. And that phone was manufactured with millions of monies. Millions of monies were spent to procure that phone. And guess what? He's buying the phones which are costing millions. He's using private jets which cost millions. And where does he get that money from? He gets that money from the state coffers. And they illegally outsource that money from the people through policies which are not people-centered. So, fellow Mtwagazans, we are supposed to fight this. We are supposed to fight this kind of an environment. We see in our hospital, if you destroy agriculture, because agriculture is the backbone of the economy. If you destroy the backbone of the economy, it means other sectors already they are destroyed, because agriculture is the foundation of the economies of the world. And the economies of the world relies on agriculture to survive. You rely on, if your agriculture is poor, you rely on international relations to survive. You can't survive without other countries. You can't survive without the support of other countries, as it is happening now in Zimbabwe. They violated the rights of the people, and that backfired. After that backfired, they were imposed with economic restrictions, targeted economic restrictions. Unfortunately, if you are targeted as a leader, it means also you are affecting the people whom you are leading. You are indirectly affecting the people whom you are leading, because you make deals with the international community on behalf of the people. They saw that this regime does not make deals on behalf of the people. This regime does make bills for its families, people who are connected to it, people who are helping it who are helping to sustain it. They are not acting in the best interest of all the citizens of Mtwagazi. Fellow Mtwagazins, we need to rise up. We need to wake up. This is the environment we don't deserve to belong in. I always say this, we don't deserve to belong in Zimbabwe. It's high time we fight for our land. It's high time we fight for our land. Our land is currently occupied by this devilish regime. by this regime with the history of killing, brutally killing our people, and they do nothing after killing our people. Our people's bones are still lying somewhere in the bushes, somewhere in shallow graves, and they are taking the land with the bones of our people to do whatever they please in our land. And we need to fight against that particular establishment. That particular establishment is not by any chance in the interest of the people. What is it that we need to do? You see, as the Democratic Alliance, we portray the situation as it is and provide an alternative policy. These discussions that I'm making, they are helping us as the people to debate around these matters and to make informed policies and to make informed strategies going forward. So, number one thing that we need to do, we need to reverse the land invasion legacy. We need to reverse that land invasion legacy and ensure that the land is reformed properly, following a land tenure that is grounded on the views of all the facets of the society, not by few. Not a land invasion that is led by a few, not land invasion that seeks to benefit the few, but land reform that seeks to reform the lives of our people. Why do you have to buy land? No, all of us, when we're introduced to this world, we did not own anything in this world. No one owns the land in this world. You only own what you invest in your land. So land must be given for free and people be taxed based on their investments on that particular land. No one should have a right to take land. No one should have a right to charge high fees on land. Land must be given to each and every person who is a citizen of Mtwara. Our people cannot be destitute. Our people cannot live without land, whilst we have plenty land. Land was invented, given to the few. We need to fight that legacy. We need to fight that mentality. Land must be given to all Mtwarazians for free. Apart from that, all Mtwarazians with land must be issued with title deeds. Land must not be owned by only the government. People should have the right to own land. Now, according to the status quo in Zimbabwe, it is only the government which owns the land. The land that they give to people, they give you leases. And those leases, they expire. You are supposed to renew them. And those leases can be manipulated and that particular land be taken back. Each and every land that we have in Mtwara is not under our ownership now. It is owned by the state. And you know, this state is led by reckless people. Is led by very, very evil people. Is led by egocentric people. We don't want such particular individuals in Mtwara. We don't want such kind of a policy to exist, especially when we are led by vultures, especially when we are led by heartless people, especially when we are led by people who think for their stomach. What happened? Opetimpofu has usurped a farm that belonged to individuals, people with title deeds of that farm, because he had proximity to ZANU-PF, because he is a secretary for administration in ZANU-PF. Papers were just changed. You see, ZANU-PF does not respect the Constitution. They view the Constitution as just an ordinary paper, a paper that they can tear apart and throw it on the bin and write another paper for someone else. So there is no safety revolving around land. There is no one is safe when it comes to land. So we need to ensure that we reverse this brutal legacy and replace this legacy with a viable legacy that our future generations will be proud of us. So we need, number one, equitable land redistribution. Land should not be given according to one's political proximity. Land should be given according to one's ability to produce, especially commercial land, especially big land, in order to fight against the issues of food insecurity. They are busy lying to you that they can't do anything because of sanctions. Those sanctions, by the way, they invited them. Those economic restrictions, by the way, they invited them. Ncube was quoted saying to Tony Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe. You see, Ncube was quoted lambasting the West. Ncube was quoted lambasting the United States of America. And what did they do? They did the honorable thing, which is to grant the current regime their desires when it comes to international relations. They said, we're not going to work with you. We are not going to open up lines of credit because you don't want us. But now, each and every 5 years, they come back to the citizens. We can't perform because of economic sanctions. And what do the gullible citizens do? They understand these minions. Fellow Mtwakazians, we need to change our mind. We need to change our mindset. We need an equitable land redistribution. We need constitutional land acquisition. Land acquisition that is backed up by a strong land tenure that will respect people's rights, that will enforce the right to own a property. That if I buy my house, the government cannot at any time make a deal with any other country without consulting me to take that land back, or without buying that land back if I agree to a deal that they will be proposing. So, fellow Mtwakazians, we are clearly portraying what this current regime is doing and what has it done, revolving around a lot of issues that affect our societies. So that when you are choosing us, you know exactly what is our struggle. You know exactly what we are fighting for. And I'm urging everyone who is able to listen to those videos, even after the live broadcast, to judge politicians based on what they are offering, to judge the politicians based on their policy positions. Don't judge the politicians based on what they are speaking about, because a lot of people can say, vote for us. Don't vote for people because they say vote for you. Don't vote for people because they are twerking better. Don't vote for people because they are saying a romanticizing language. Don't vote for people because they are just saying vote for them. But vote for people because of what they are offering. So we are saying no to reckless land reform. We want to reform the land. The land in Mtwakazi needs to be reformed. Our people still don't have land. Our people are still destitute. The land in Zimbabwe is not affordable for our people. The land in Zimbabwe is not allocated to social institutions that are supposed to deliver services to our people. And we must fight against that. We must ensure that there is enough land for services to be accessible to our people. We want land redistribution that promotes social and economic development. Because since they invaded land, you have seen it yourself. The economy has collapsed. It's as good as we don't have money. The money that they are using, even them, they are not keeping it. They are giving it to people. They are not keeping it in their houses because that money is good as useless. You get it today with a value. Tomorrow it loses the value like never before. So it is an untrustworthy currency. It is the currency that is not backed by people, that is not backed by other countries. It's like a tissue paper, you see. So we need to actually, that's where we are supposed to reform. That is what we call reform. Reform is replacing the bad legacy. It is replacing the evil legacy, the unconstitutional legacy, and replace with a constitutional legacy. By the way, when we are talking of a constitutional legacy, we are not talking about the bills or the constitution that someone just write sleeping on his bed, typing with a computer there, and then decide to enforce it to the people. We are talking about legislations that are done after thorough consultation with all the groups of the societies, whether they are a majority or whether they are a minority. We can't be subjected to this kind of an environment whereby our rights are not respected, whereby the constitution is only applicable to people who are challenging the status quo. The people who are targeted by the constitutions are those who are exposing and are those who are fighting against the establishment. And this cannot continue. People should be able to criticize government. People should be able to contribute to their national development. People should be able to contribute to their social and economic development, not just few individuals. That is why we are advocating. Very soon I will be making a presentation on political reforms. We need political reforms in Mtwagazi. We can't be led by a government that is centralized. Our lifestyles cannot be decided somewhere in Harare, somewhere in a corner in Harare by a group of Shona people excluding us. And then they want us to abide to such rules. We say to hell with such rules. We want the rules that are people-centered. We want the rules that respect each and every human being and treat each and every human being with equality. Not what we are experiencing. What we are experiencing is inhuman, and each and every progressive individual must rise against that. They must rise against these attacks and ensure that we restore order and sanity in Mtwagazi. So, we want constitutionalism to be restored. Land must be given to the citizens for free, and the government must build shelter for all urban and rural communities. People should only maybe pay for services, and the fees mustn't be that high. And the government must control corruption levels, a viable government. So if we are given the opportunity to govern the people of Mtwagazi, we will make sure that each and every individual in our land has access to land. Each and every individual in Mtwagazi has access to equitable distribution of land. We want to ensure that all the rights of the people of Mtwagazi are protected. So this is, and we regard what happened in Zimbabwe as land invasion. What happened in Zimbabwe was not land reform. We need a land reform. We need a people-driven land reform. We need the land reform that will be backed by each and every citizen of Mtwagazi. So I'm involving Zimbabwe now because we are under the hegemony of Zimbabwe, but our ultimate goal is the freedom of Mtwagazi. We are fighting for nothing else but the freedom of Mtwagazi. We are fighting for nothing else but the freedom of our people. And in a free Mtwagazi, land must be easily accessible. In a free Mtwagazi, property rights must be protected. In a free Mtwagazi, we must ensure that all the policies that are implemented around land reform ensure that our people have property rights. We can't have a few individuals taking away the rights of people and doing as they please in the land owned by the people. We can't have that. There is a lot of land degradation in our land because the government just give land to everyone and they don't care how they mine in our land. They don't care about protecting our ecosystem. All they are coming for is to loot. All they are coming for is to get the precious precious minerals. And once they get those precious minerals, they go and build their countries. We can't have such a government presiding in Mtwagazi. It is a very dangerous government. It is a disastrous government. So, fellow Mtwagazians, regarding the land, we don't have land at the moment. We need to fight for our land. We need to fight for our rights. And after fighting for our land, we need to ensure that each and every human being existing in Mtwagazi has land. And as I have always said, as Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance, we maintain this stance. We are a restoration revolutionary party. We are not a tribal party. We respect all the tribes. But what we are fighting against are policy positions of ZANU-PF, and what we are fighting against is the project called Zimbabwe, because this project called Zimbabwe was meant to destroy us. That is why even in its inception, it began by killing our people. As I was narrating yesterday, we are a society living in agony. We are a society living in fear. We are a society living without rights. We are a society disrespected, and that doesn't have to continue. We need to stop that. We need to stop that legacy. We need to stop our pains. And how do we stop our pains? It is simple, by participating in politics. As I was explaining in so many live broadcasts, I have made it clear that the purpose of this regime is to ensure that our people don't participate in political activities. That is why they don't worry whether you register or you don't register. If you don't register, they keep on reducing the constituencies in Mtwagazi. Fellow Mtwagazians, it is our right to participate in political activities. And I'm urging all of you, if you love your country, if you love your country, and if you want what I have mentioned reversed in your country, ensure that you go and register to vote. Ensure that you join Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance. Ensure that you support Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance. Let me make it clear. Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance is not an individual organization. Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance belongs to the people of Mtwagazi. And for its survival, it requires its people. And for its survival, it requires the support of our people. They have created this division that we are seeing in our land. They are enjoying when we are divided. They are enjoying when we are not supporting each other. They are enjoying it when there is chaos in Mtwagazi. So, fellow Mtwagazians, it is the high time to put our house in order. If you are educated disregarding Mtwagazi, your education is in vain. If you are educated not supporting the struggle of your people, your education is in vain. It's as good as you did nothing. I'm calling upon all the professionals. I'm calling upon all the students. I'm calling upon all the doctors. I'm calling upon all our people within the police force, because they are our people there. I'm calling all our people even in the intelligence services, because they are our people there, to consider doing whatever they do in the interest of their people. You should consider your people. Your people should be number one priority. So, fellow Mtwagazians, Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance is nothing without your support. So, we will continue clearly elucidating and expanding on our policy positions, exposing the evil nature of ZANU-PF, and proposing viable policies that must be implemented in Mtwagazi, and clearly articulating what we are offering. Don't be lied that we are tribal. We are not tribalist, but we are fighting against tribalism. Don't be lied to that these people are promoting hatred. No, we are fighting, in fact, against the hatred, because they are the ones who began hatred. We didn't send them to kill our people. We didn't send them to do the land invasions. They did those land invasions. We didn't even put them into government. They put themselves into government and they are performing battle. And as fellow Mtwakazens, we need to rise up to the occasion and take our land. We need to rise up to the occasion and ensure that we work towards freeing Mtwakazi. So I would like also, as I am closing, to invite you also to subscribe to our YouTube page. And I'm inviting you to register and become a Mtwakazi Democratic Alliance member. It is simple. If you want to join Mtwakazi Democratic Alliance, you can even send a message to whichever platform you are receiving us from, and our team will make a follow-up. I'm even making follow-ups because everyone in Mtwakazi Democratic Alliance is involved in building our party and ensuring that our policy position is correctly interpreted, especially in public domains, in all spheres. So we love you and we will continue engaging our people. As a president, I will not be a president governed by PR nonsense. I will ensure that each and every time I interact with all the societies of Mtwakazi. I will be leading in terms of portraying the policy position of Mtwakazi Democratic Alliance. We love you and we love Mtwakazi. May God bless our people. May God reward the work of our people. May God bless Africa and may God bless the world. Let us all make this world to be a better place to live on. It can't be a better place without resolving Kukuraunde genocide. It can't be a better place with our people going hungry. It can't be a better place while this Mtwakazi is still colonized by Zimbabwe, and so many people are still colonized in Africa and in Europe. We support a lot of emerging states which are still colonized. We support a lot of states which are working towards their decolonization like us. We support the people of Biafra, and we hope they will be free. We hope Ethiopia will grant the people of Biafra. I'm not Ethiopia, I think Biafra, it must be in Nigeria. Tigray. We support the people of Tigray, and we hope Ethiopian government will stop brutalizing people who want their independence. Tigray must be freed. The people of Tigray have spoken, and they have spoken loudly. They don't want to be part of Ethiopia, and they must be free. We are supporting the people of Tigray because we know how it is like to be subjected to African colonization. We support a lot of people around the world, and we are looking forward to make friendship with them to help us also free Mtwakazi nation. Salute to all the people of Mtwakazi. Salute to all people who love freedom. Salute to all people who are supporting constitutionalism. Let's support each other and ensure that we destroy dictatorship and ensure that we totally decolonize Africa. Thank you very much, people of the world, my people included. I love you. Tanda nyani nyani.